Good evening and welcome to the Hingham Board of Selectmen meeting Thursday, March 7th. Our agenda tonight is that we will hear a number of warrant articles in preparation for town meeting. We will be discussing our article on accepting an easement on Thaxter Street, and another article on one on Abingdon Street. Then a general article to allow the Board of Selectmen to accept easements for which there is no payment to be made without going to town meeting. Then we will return once again to the Government Study Committee's article proposing changing the treasurer-collector position from elected to appointed. Then we will hear the article which calls for the revocation of the authorization under Article 38 of last year's town meeting to sewer, ship, and Cottage Street. Then we will be discussing once again the proposed amended general bylaw relative to noise. And following that, we will adjourn to an executive session to discuss real estate, and we will not be returning to open session after that. So, that said, we might as well get right on to it. The Article HH proposes an easement on Thaxter Street. Someone here to present that? Sir, please come on up and...
We're going to have Roger Fernandez, our town engineer, along with...
Also, both of you. Okay.
I will be brief. I guess my job will be just to introduce Paul Costello with Polaris Engineering. He's working on behalf of the proponent, and he is the consultant, and he'll explain the project. And I've been working with Paul with respect to what they're proposing to do at the onset. So I'll turn it over to Paul.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Paul Costello. I'm the president of Polaris Consultants. We represent the Lincoln Street Realty Trust. And I was notified by them almost about a year ago now. And the Lincoln Street Realty Trust owns the land where the Citizens Bank is in the Starbucks coffee shop, right at the intersection of Lincoln Street, which is to the north, and Thaxter Street, which is to the east. And the issue on the site is that the concrete retaining wall that you see in the parking lot has shifted about 6 inches from the top moving forward. It's the way the wall is constructed. The wall is constructed as an L like this, and so it's just shifted. But that's happened over about 50 years. So we did a structural inspection of the wall, and we worked with Roger's office to come up with the best solution. And the best solution is to drill about 15 soil anchors into the wall, pretty much to pin it back.
Uh-huh.
The anchors will go in about 20 feet. They'll be angled down because there's a number of utilities here. The concern being is that the wall is very stable right now, but that long-term creep over time will just cause differential settlement of Thaxter Street and the sidewalk. And there's a little bit of alligator cracking if you go out there. And there's a water main about 10 feet from the wall. There's a gas line. So the pinning of that wall is really to stabilize the utilities. So we would need an easement that's called out in the article. So this would be phase one of the work, would be done this year. And the same thing's happening to this wall, which is on private property.
Yeah.
And they'll work that out in the future.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything to add, Town Projects Engineer Roger Fernandez?
No, Madam Chairwoman.
You can just yell that. That's okay. We hear that.
I just want to point out that all the work will be done from the parking lot. They'll be drilling in sideways, so there won't be any, it'll all be subsurface relative to Thaxter Street. The anchors will be down about 15 feet.
Okay, so this article is for the town to grant an easement for you to drive these anchors into the
wall.
public way, correct?
Right, exactly.
Okay, what was that, Roger? I didn't hear your...
No comment. I think he said no comment. It's
Okay.
good. He said it's good.
Okay, this is good. As one who just had a fence fall down, this is excellent. That's a purpose thing. Is there any issues? How long will this activity last?
The workload will last maybe 6 weeks.
6
But
weeks?
you don't expect any disruption on the public way, right?
We do not expect any disruption.
Won't affect
The
anybody.
water line, the aquarium water line is down around 4 or 5 feet. And we're angling the anchors, so they'll be down 8 or 9 feet by the time they get past the water line.
Okay, and this should secure it for
Another 50 years?
another
50
50?
years.
50, okay. So since we won't be here, that's a good answer. Okay, no, that's fine with
All
me.
set?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
can I
make
have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we recommend to advisory Article HH, dealing with the easement on Thaxter Street.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to hear.
Okay.
Okay, the next article is easement on Abingdon Street. And that is for the town to grant an easement as well. And Roger will tell us about it.
Thank you. So what the town would be doing in this particular situation is granting a drainage easement to the development, to the project proponent. Just by way of history, this is the South Shore Collaborative expansion of the existing building that's there now.
Right.
And what took place, as you might or might not recall, I think we talked about this prior at the Selectmen's meeting, is that there continued to be an existing drainage issue on Abington Street. And it was severe enough that it was really a public safety issue. When the project proponents came to us and they asked us to review their design and their approach, we felt it would have been irresponsible of us not to address the issue with the drainage, especially given that one of their egress or exits from the property would add additional traffic onto Abington Street. That being said, we worked collectively with their consultant, and as part of their off-site mitigation, they agreed to install the drainage culvert that now is in place under Abington Street. So as an outfall of that, their drainage now will run through our pipe that is now in the town layout. So what the applicants are asking for is to formalize that process and acquire the drainage easement necessary to
So
continue
exactly
water
what
flow.
does the easement cover? Could you just explain it? I
Sure.
mean, is it all existing drainage pipe already, and they're just asking for the right to put their drainage through it? Is that?
Yeah, the pipe is in place,
Uh-huh.
and we were the, we were, it was our pipe, so there wouldn't have been a granted location necessary to install our own pipe. The pipe is in place. Now, all they're asking is to formally allow the drainage from this site to discharge through this stone riprap and under the pipe to the outfall across the street. And here's this might help, it might be difficult to see on camera.
But any work that's being done is being done on private property to attach to that?
On the outfall side?
No, on their side, where they're gonna connect,
So this is all open channel.
open channel.
Okay.
And that's it, that's town land,
This is town land,
just that part.
just this part. So where the right-of-way exists is this section.
Oh, okay, so
over
what,
Abington
all
Street.
we're doing is relative just to the culvert under the road?
Correct.
Okay, that's
Yes.
what I was trying to figure out, is
Yep.
what part of this belongs to us and what part
So
doesn't?
this is ours, everything else belongs to
I
them.
get it, okay,
Yeah.
but the culvert's already there.
The culvert's already there.
So this corrects that, you and I have been out there how many times?
A few, yes, yeah.
So this is the next step in fixing that problem.
That's correct. Yep. And it does allow for future expansion if we ever needed to, but yep, it takes care of a problem that, has been there for some time. Yeah.
There are a number, I did not know how many citizens use Abington Street to go to work.
Right.
It is a very popular road, so this is a step in the right direction.
Okay, any comments from the public? Nope.
Okay,
All set?
I'm all set.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the Advisory Committee, Article GG, grant of easement on Abington Street.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Thank you, Roger.
Next article is the article we're calling 00. This is the same article that we passed last year at town meeting, which allows the Board of Selectmen to accept easements of any kind as long as we're not paying for them. If someone has a purpose which the Board of Selectmen thinks is in the public interest in granting an easement to the town for some purpose, we would be allowed, if this article passes, to accept it. Do you want to say anything?
Actually, I could ask our project engineer, Roger Fernandez, to give you an example, since this is what he really deals with on a regular basis, where we're doing a development project, someone in town is doing a development project, they need drainage, and, the drainage is attached to our facilities, but we have to go across their land. And I think you were working on a project recently, was it Beale Street that occurred?
Actually, yes, it's part of the, I'm going to forget the name of the project naturally, but.
Memory Care Center.
Memory Care Center, thank you. So we had found, when the applicant came in, they had designed their drainage such that there was an assumption that our drain line did not traverse their property. Again, as part of our review, we suggested, required, is probably a stronger right word, that they videoed the pipe and validate that. What we found was that the pipe actually ran right through their property. And In that particular case, there were no issues with the pipe running through their property. We just needed to formalize that right. So we needed that easement from that developer, from that property owner, to allow the Beale Street, which was a substantial amount of the drainage, to run through their property and exit out to Route 3A. And that would be one example.
And the meaning of allowing this article to pass would be that if we did not do that, if we didn't have that power to accept that easement, the developer would have to wait until town meeting to
That's
get their
right.
project done, which often puts a wrench into development projects, so.
Yeah, it's commonplace that a lot of these issues become, their occupancy become contingent upon a lot of these issues being addressed. So that would have delayed substantially their occupancy and their build-out. And so, yeah, it was advantageous to all of us, yeah.
And this article does not give you the right to pay for an easement. You can only accept one voluntarily from a private party.
Okay. And is it our intent to maybe, this is an annual request we go through, am I right?
Well, last year, if you recall, council recommended that this be, permanent change, and you guys decided collectively with advisory just to do it annually. Did we have an instance this year to use this? I don't believe we did.
Not yet this year. We had at least 2 last year that I'm aware of.
So they come and go, and I don't know, whether, I'm not quite sure what the efficiency is of asking town meeting to grant that authority for just 1 year, each year successively. Given that you can't buy it.
I'm pretty sure what the efficiency is. It's not very efficient.
Yeah.
I did ask town council, and he said there was no reason that you could not do this and have it permanent.
This article,
Yes,
period.
right.
Okay.
He said there was nothing in the article or the recommended motion that would preclude making it something that would stand until it was voted otherwise. It was just the comment that had
Okay.
said that it was annual.
Okay. So we could ask the advisory committee to please suggest that this would be permanent if they were willing. Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Perhaps
I mean,
we'll
and
pass
in-
that recommendation on to the
motion,
advisory committee,
yeah.
whoever. might-
Because Laura, it mentions the point you made in the comment section about we cannot pay for anything, but it allows Roger to allow, and with our authorization, to let it happen, and that's,
I will just say, I feel the argument for making it permanent is that, well, first of all, it's a good thing, because it allows us to help developers finish whatever they're doing, whether it's a single homeowner or a big retail development. But as a selectman, one thing, a legacy I do not wish to leave is more annual articles. So, because they mount up over the course of 350 years and 375 years. So I think it would be great if the advisory committee would countenance this continuing permanently.
yeah, since we're up to, what is this, Article 00? That kind of tells us the course on next year is going to be 000. And I don't think it's a waste of the time.
Okay, anybody have a comment or a question on this before we vote? Okay. Motion.
All right, would you like the motion to include the recommendation that advisory considering making it permanent?
Yes.
Okay. I would make a motion that we recommend to advisory Article 00, acceptance of easements as a permanent article for future governance of the town.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and that brings us to the Government Study Committee's article on changing the treasurer-collector position
Thank
from
you,
elected
Roger.
to appointed. So I welcome members of the Government Study Committee to come on up and join us, and whoever's going to.
Oop, oop.
So,
Gave you the new article.
She did. I
pardon me?
just gotta find where. That's all.
You put it
Sure.
where it belongs.
Probably.
Dean, you want to join us?
Yes,
To the
would you like to
table?
join us?
Please do.
And we'll welcome the treasurer-collector, about whose job this article is.
That's right.
So this article has been through quite a few changes, and we think we have arrived at how we want to do this. So it's a great opportunity to tell the folks at home exactly how this proposal will work.
Well, the proposal basically is to make the recommendation that the treasurer collector of the town of Hingham become an appointed official instead of an elected official. The financial needs of the town have become more and more complex over time. There's the issue of succession. Jean has done a very good job training her assistant treasurer collector to possibly become the new treasurer collector. However, she doesn't live in the town of Hingham, so that she would not be eligible to be elected. That's another reason for going to having an appointed elected treasurer collector. Among our peer group towns, our bench group towns, Westwood was not included in this, but of the 19 towns, 82% of those towns now have appointed treasurer collectors. Of the 19 that were surveyed, only 3 still have appointed treasurer collectors. And I have to get my glasses out and read this, but towns with budgets over 50 million, of towns with annual budgets over 50 million, 81% have appointed treasurer collectors. Our budget is what, 87 million?
91 this year.
91, we've hit the 90 mark. So there are a myriad of reasons to do this. We've been talking about this since the first government study committee was convened in 1990. It was went before the town meeting in 1991, and we still think that there's a very strong case to be made in its behalf. Jean or Scott, you might have more to add.
Maybe just a comment on the procedure, because the
Okay.
procedure that we're proposing this year is different than the procedure that we proposed previously last year, but not different than the procedure that was invoked relative to this process in 1991. There are 2 ways of effectuating this change. One is pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, which was enacted in 1997, that says that elected positions can be changed to appointed positions by having a vote at town meeting followed by a ballot vote. Another way of doing so is through a piece of special legislation that was in fact the procedure that was available prior to 1997, the procedure that this town invoked in 1991 when we made the position appointed, and back to elected once again. The reason why the Government Study Committee this year is recommending that we invoke the special legislation procedure is to allow for a more fully informed electorate voting on this particular measure. And what I mean by that is that pursuant to the statutory route, the matter can be fully debated and discussed at town meeting, but when it comes to the ballot says one thing and one thing only: should the position become appointed rather than elected, with no explanation and with no built-in continuity. So there's 2 reasons why the Government Study Committee proposes and supports moving through the special legislative route. One is to allow the vote to occur only at town meeting, where the issue can be fully discussed, fully debated. By the way, there will be a legislative process that follows if it passes at town meeting before the House of Representatives, the state Senate, and ultimately signed by the governor, rather than leaving a simple, naked ballot question with no explanation, no debate, no information for the voters to follow at the polls. And the second reason is that the special legislative route allows us to build in the continuity that has become an important part of this process, specifically with regard to mandating that the current treasurer collector, Ms. Montgomery, whom receives beyond rave reviews across the town, be appointed to that first position, whereas that point could not be included if we went through the statutory route. So I'm sorry that was a long-winded way of explaining why the Government Study Committee is proposing doing this by special legislation. That is the reason we've done it before, this town has done it before, specifically with regard to this issue.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, both. I assume Jean, you are in support of this motion and the procedure that's being recommended to us
Yes, I
this year?
am.
Yeah, you are, okay. Judy, you mentioned some numbers about starting in 1990 and the high percentage of towns that have done this. Has the motion or the movement in this direction to move to an appointed position, has that been something that has more frequently happened of late, or has it just been a gradual, do you know in the other towns?
Oh, I couldn't, I think.
I could answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been much more frequent
Yeah.
within the last 10 years as things get more complex. I remember last week, Laura, you were asking about the effect of the federal government shutdown. I got an email across my desk that I know Jean got too from bond counsel that talked about, had we made the decision to go with Build America bonds, which we did not, those payments would have been suspended. So there are a lot of complexities to Jean's job. We're going to issue quite a bit of debt within the next 6 months. And, Jean has a very critical role in managing that. And so, her function is critical to the town. And I think you could see why other towns are moving in that direction. They need to, make sure that when they hire for this position, they have the requisite expertise that we've been fortunate enough to have in the town. I just wanted to make one comment, though, on the last part that Scott had mentioned about continuity. You signed an agreement with the Board of Selectmen with the treasurer last year in a way to try to broadcast your intent to folks. But the feedback I got from quite a few people that told me they voted against this was that they had the impression that it might have been the selectmen looking to replace the treasurer, which was completely, it was exasperating to hear that because it couldn't be farther from the truth. As a matter of fact, you'd have me right in front of you saying, please don't take my treasurer from me because she's a key part of our team. So, I think this act really does spell it right out for the voters.
And that's one of the reasons why, as Scott said, the special legislation is so important, because the fact that Jean will be the first appointee is right in the article.
Okay.
And that's what the special legislation allows the town to do.
So the commentary point that you can't put on a ballot, you can put in the legislation.
Yes.
Correct. And also, I did speak with Representative Bradley to just confirm that the legislature was approving these type of acts, and his indication to me was, yes, that seems to be the way they've been handling these for the last few years.
Okay.
Well, I'd just like to say that the one concern that people have expressed to me about going this route of having the vote done at town meeting and not having the ballot vote as we did last year is people seem to think that we might be removing people's right to vote on whether or not this change takes place. But of course, I'd like to point out to everybody that we are not removing anybody's right to vote, because we have open town meeting. Every citizen has a right to come to town meeting and vote on this. No one's right to vote on this article, on this proposal, is being taken away.
And in addition, there will be open hearings at the State House. I'm not sure whether it's 1 or 2, but people can go to the State House, they can object, they can speak their minds at that. I know it's a drive, but there will be open hearings as part of the legislative process.
But everybody should know that everybody will get to vote on this if they choose.
I mean, that's one of the points we discussed at advisory on Tuesday night. And the point that was raised is that a vote at town meeting for whatever measure is being voted upon is just as important as a vote at the ballot or at the polls several days later. And the only matters within the town that we vote both at town meeting and at the polls are those mandated by statute in addition to the traditional elected positions. And so, and one further point is, this particular mechanism has already been employed and invoked with regard to this particular position before, not to mention all of the other very important matters that we vote on at every town meeting. And in particular over the last couple of years, whether it be the proposal 4 years ago to move the Board of Selectmen from 3 to 5, which failed, or last year to consolidate the sewer department into the Department of Public Works, it was actually 2011, et cetera, and not to mention our budget, which is one of the most important matters that we vote on at every town meeting.
Okay, any comments from the public about, or questions on this article? No?
No.
Are you ready to vote?
I am ready to vote. I'll make a motion that we recommend to advisory Article S, on the article relative to the position of treasurer collector, with a positive recommendation.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Got a good feeling about this.
Thank you very much.
I think we're going to make
Thank
it
you.
this time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Jean.
Thank you. Next article is Article, here is the one we're calling LL, which is an article to revoke the authorization given under Article 38 at last year's town meeting for the sewering of Ship and Cottage Street. Is there anybody here from the petitioners? This is a petition article that was put on the warrant by signatures from the public. Is there anybody here to present this article and explain the reasoning for it? No, we're hearing the article, and, okay, since no one is here to present the article and explain why we should revoke a vote that town meeting took last year, I will entertain a motion that we recommend no action to the advisory committee.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the next article on the agenda is Article CC. We return again to discuss the fate of the noise bylaw. And I'll welcome Beth Rockoff. Okay, did you want to speak
Surely, if I...
about where we are with this article?
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Beth, welcome again.
Thank you.
We've had a series of discussions taking into account of late the recommendations of this board to the proponent of the noise article. And in that, let me just say what those main points were. One, that we broaden the base of citizen participation so that it would be more reflective of the way we do business in Hingham, which is from the bottom up. Two, there was some concern expressed by the police department who are in favor of some noise bylaw, and I will say some with the intent that I don't want to predispose what its contents will be, but they wanted to see, because it would make their position easier from an enforcement point of view. And the third issue was that this one was taking two current zoning bylaws that apply to Conservatory Park and to the shipyard, and was trying to include those regulations on a broader basis. That requires what I said on item number 1, which was the broader participation by the town. So the proponents, in discussions with me and others, have agreed with the recommendation of the board and would, while the article will go forward, because it is a petition article, in effect, there will be no action taken, and that, I presume, is the recommendation we will make to advisory. Did I miss anything, Beth?
No, I just would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with the police and with you to put forward to have more townwide discussion about it so that we can provide the policemen with a tool that they would like to have and to clarify the rules and regulations. And I agree with whatever procedure needs to be done to do that.
Great. Well, I think we've all, I feel like I can speak for our colleague who's not here. We've all expressed support for the idea of having this bylaw, and we hope it goes forward. So, did you
Okay.
want to make a motion?
I'll make a-
Will you include the formation of the committee in the motion, or do we want to think about, I don't know, did we think about how
We
many
didn't
people?
say
You want to separate
that.
those.
I think
Okay.
we'd want to separate those,
There's going to be
yeah.
no action, therefore.
No action.
No action.
And then
We can
we'll have another
decide.
motion to-
Yeah.
We'll think for a bit about the committee. You want to make a
I'll give you a
proposal, or
couple
do you want?
proposals for your next meeting.
Next
as to,
meeting, okay.
You know, what the structure of the committee should look like.
Okay.
Okay.
I have to come to another meeting? I'm
Well,
only kidding.
you don't
I'm only
have to.
kidding.
You don't have to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we recommend no action on Article CC concerning the noise bylaw.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and that brings our agenda to an end, except for Selectmen and Town Administrator reports. Do you have anything you need to report?
I'll just let you know that The DPW is stating the obvious to you. They're out in full force right now. You can hear them actually in the parking lot, and they've done their advanced planning on a couple of issues to make sure that we can hit the roads hard.
Okay. Anything to report?
No?
Since Monday morning?
Since Monday morning?
Last year?
No, just that Monday, March 11th is, I believe, the last day for people to draw papers for
And
many.
to return them.
And
To
return them
return them.
by the close of business Monday.
Yeah.
So I would just recommend, if you're in that, if you're thinking about running for office, we encourage you to do that, because that's what makes Hingham work. So, all right, that's all.
Okay, anything else?
No?
You have a couple of
Oh, yeah, we need to take
Votes,
some votes.
oh, yes, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. Let's see, here we go. Okay. The permit for the electrical work in the town hall parking lot, Ted, that is?
Yeah, could you tell us?
Just
about
tell
this?
us.
Betty's working on that.
Okay.
We have had a problem with the lights out in the town hall parking lot. You may have noticed it was quite dark when you came in tonight, and it's because they shorted out.
Oh.
So we've had Glen Electric out there working. They've found a problem that they're going to have DPW dig up a portion of the parking lot to run some new conduit and pull some wires through. But
Is it extensive?
it's not extensive, but it's the pipe is crushed in a certain spot, so they can't just fix it by pulling through new wires. So with this goes a permit fee. In this case, it would be like taking it out of one pocket and putting it in the other, so we recommend that you waive the fee.
My pockets are empty as it is, so that's I'll make a motion, with your permission, to waive the permit fee for electrical work in the town hall parking lot.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, building permit fee for the Historical Society.
We've
that
gotten a
relative?
request from the Historical Society to waive the permit fee for the project at Old Derby.
Why should we do that? Is there a reason why we should do
Well,
that? I mean,
it's a request from the Historical Society,
Okay.
so that's why we're presenting it to you.
Okay.
I think the logic would be, they're using, half their project is being funded through town funds. So, it may be not taking it out of one pocket and putting the other, but taking half of it out of one pocket and putting it in the other. So it's a little different than some of our other not-for-profit.
are we talking about the project at
Heritage.
the Heritage Museum?
Correct.
Okay. Last I checked, town meeting had not appropriated the money to contribute to this project, and
You are correct. You are correct.
so I'm having a problem with this.
Can-
I mean, we have, over the, I don't know, I'm speaking, but
No,
it's your turn.
No, but this relates to the steps portion,
Yes.
I'm assuming.
Yes,
but-
just the steps part.
But we wouldn't waive that for any other facility in town that's a nonprofit, any of the churches, would we?
No.
In the past, we have not.
No, and I have to say that in the time that I've been on the board, I have had some very, very appealing requests to waive building permit fees, and have felt pretty strongly that we really can't open the door to that, because there's a million good reasons to waive building permit fees, and
Not that I want to take up more of your time, but the Historical Society asked to be here. They had difficulty with the weather, so I'd ask if you are going to vote in opposition of it, that you give
we
them an
should say it to their
opportunity.
face.
They'll come next Thursday
Okay.
and have their pitch made to you, in
Okay.
case I just haven't made it
Okay.
well enough.
Okay, shall we bump that to next week?
I will
Okay,
make a motion that we table this for...
okay, motion is tabled, okay.
And then lastly, I'll make a motion to approve an entertainment license for Legal Seafoods, LLC, doing business as Legal Sea Bar, for 5/7 televisions to operate 7 days per week from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I guess we will now adjourn to executive session. Would you like to make a motion?
Make a motion that we adjourn to executive session for purposes of considering the acquisition of real property, since an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the town, and we do not plan to return to open session.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us.
Good night. Good night.